Bắn rồi đó, người bắn rồi đó. Cái này nó sai. Rồi mọi check check. My check is okay. All right, perfect. So once again, welcome back to English live stream series, and yeah, we try to bring you the best topic available. But today we're gonna get to, let's say, not a very up-to-date topic, but it is a controversial topic, let's say in a general way. So today's topic we're going to talk about pets, and probably you know what are pets and how to take care of them. However, in today's live stream, we're going to give you a deeper look as well as provide you with some more information, some more vocabulary about this specific topic. So pets, I mean, like for each of you, most of you will own a pet in your life at some certain point in your life, maybe not for a lifetime because pet cannot live as long as human. However, pets would be a companion or it would be a friend. I mean, like some people consider pets as something like a human rather than an animal, and some people consider them as a friend. So pets play very important roles in human life. So let's say we're gonna give you quick details how to take care of a pet, what categories are there, and as well as let's say how the pet affects the other living creature around you. So let's get into it. Let's start the live stream today with a very quick codes we have. Let's say this is specifically for a dog, but in general you can understand that it can be used for pets in general. So a dog is the only thing on earth that loves you more than you love yourself, said by someone. I don't know who is this guy, but yeah, it makes some sense, right? Because a dog is, let's say, a very loyal animal, and if you give you companionship, it will give you company. It will, let's say, will give you joy when you're growing up. Some people growing with their pets or their dog, like when they were a baby until they are, let's say, 12 or 13, because the lifespan of the dog or a dog, yeah, I'm talking about a lifespan of the dog would be around like 14 to 18 years maximum. And at that time, let's say you will have a friend from your childhood stick to you until you're 18. So that's all you can ask for. But let's say you might think that 18 years would be, let's say, not a really very big number. However, when you look back on some relationship you have in your life, let's say your human friends, right? Some of your human friends, they are not as loyal as an animal. So people come, people go. However, the dog will stay with you for the rest of its life if you treat it well, if you protect it well. So that's why I truly and let's say definitely agree with this statement. So a dog is the only thing on earth that loves you more than most person. Okay. So generally, we're gonna go through these steps or these parts of the presentation. Sorry, of the live stream today. So this is called the Pet's Guide. In this pet guide, we're gonna learn about the requirements, how to adopt a pet or how to have a pet in your house, as well as let's say what to do or what you should do, what you shouldn't do when you're approaching an animal for the first time, as well as the necessity that you need to have when you are having a pet in your home. Let's say the requirement, let's say necessary tool that you should accumulate when having a pet in your home. So that would make the raising a pet more enjoyable procedure rather than just cleaning and say running around the house with the pets. Okay, but it is exactly like human. When you're raising a pet or when you're having a pet in your home, which means you also need to take in the responsibility to take care of that animal. Because in let's say I'm not in Vietnamese, the law in Vietnamese is pretty loose. So that's why there is no punishment or there is no penalty for those who doesn't treat the pet well. However, in other countries, let's say foreign country, I'm not talking about specific one, but in general, in other countries, they will have specific laws to protect the animals in their country. So taking care of the pets is also an important part of raising it and having it as a friend. Okay, and lastly, I would like to give you some recommendation on, let's say, pet coffees, pet cafe. I'm sorry, Jesus Christ. Let me correct this one real quick. Because you know what? Oh shit. Because you know what? The word cafe and the word coffee are two completely different words. Let's say, they bear the same meanings. However, let's say, they share a different characteristic in the meaning. So the word cafe, if you understand it in Vietnamese, it would be something like you can drink, right? However, in English, the word cafe derived from a French word, and the word cafe means the place. It means a place, right? I would emphasize the word place for you to sit and have the coffee. So in this case, coffee is what you drink, but cafe is where you go to. So yeah, to make it easier to understand, let's say I'm gonna write it. Here's a cafe. You can understand it as a place, and coffee, it would be understood as a drink. Okay, so cafe is where you go to, and coffee is what you drink. So you go to the cafe and you drink the coffee. Does it make sense? I hope it makes sense to you. So yeah, sorry for my mistake. So at Pet Cafe, I'm going to give you some recommendation on where to go if you really love pets, but you don't meet the requirements or you don't have the facility to take care or to adopt a pet on your own. So you can enjoy a very short time of joyful moments. Let's say when you're surrounded with a lot of pets, because when you having a pet at home, I'm saying pets, because you can make your house look like a zoo, right? You can have like you cannot have like 10 pets or 10 dogs, 10 cats in a row. So in this case, a pet cafe would be a very, let's say, optimal choice for you if you want to be surrounded by animals. By a lot of animals, you have a lot of choice. So yes, we're gonna give you some recommendation, and those cafe will provide you with different type of animal that you would like to touch or you would like to see, you would like to pet them. Oh yeah, so I want to clarify it here. The word pet, um, the word pet in in English, it can have several meanings. Let's say I'm going to mention two main meanings here. So pet, the first meaning is the one that you really understand it without me explaining it, would be that is an animal, right? But pet in a verb form. So a word pet in a verb form means you, let's say you touch and you rub. Okay, so they say there would be some sentence would be something like I pet a pet. So yeah, petting a pet would be you touching or you rubbing it. So yes, that is the two meanings of the word pet I want to clarify here. Okay, since everything is clear and everything is on track, let's get into the first part of the live stream today. How the word pet is understood. Yeah, I think you know it. You know about the word pet, right? Without me explaining it so far. So the word pet indicates an animal or a bird. I mean, like I said, yeah, this should be an animal because animal and bird are two different categories. So yes, pet is an animal or a bird or something else that you have at home for pleasure rather than the one that kept for work or for food. So let's say some people would consider like animal that can produce food or goods like duck or chicken in some weird cases. I mean, like not most cases, but in some cases, some people consider a duck as a pet. So this definition is actually varied from people to people. I don't really know what they want to have as an animal in the home. So yes. A pet can be varied. I mean, like as well, as long as you can tame it, as long as you can domesticate it, it will be your pet, right? So that is why we have two different types of pets. We have traditional pets. So when, let's say, when mentioning the word pets, you can, let's say, definitely take into consideration um, like when mentioning the word pet, you can automatically thinking that it will be a dog or a cat, right? Or even a fish or a bird, because those are the four most, let's say, common pets you will see in household, especially dogs and cats. Some people like dogs, some people like cats, and some people can have both of them in one house. So yeah, it is depends on people preferences. But yeah, traditional pets, I think I don't need to explain so far. However, we also have another, let's say another category of pets would be exotic pets. Exotic pets means something that not the one that you see every day. I mean like okay, let's take for example, right? You see a snake. A snake pet would be something like you see people carrying it around, people walking it around along the street every day. It would belong to a certain category of customer or certain categories of owner that have specific preference on that type of animal. So exotic pets, as you can see from the name, exotic means something unusual. And exotic pets require much more attention and much more caring than a normal traditional pet. So we got some, mm, yeah, as I said, exotic pets are not popular. However, these are some common choice when it comes to exotic pets. So I'm gonna mention here would be the snake. Well, the snake here would be something like it's not really poisonous, like if it bites you, you're not gonna die. And it is friendly rather than being aggressive towards you. So it would be something like a cobra because a cobra would definitely attack you if you approach them. But yeah, pet snake. I'm gonna mention, let's say, some example. I would love to mention would be, let's say, the corn snake or okay. Let me find some more example for you because I only know the corn snake. Actually, the corn snake is one of the most easy to adopt and easy to grow animal because yeah, it is small and you can put it in like a box or something and it will survive. But I bet you don't want it to crawl or you want it to run around your body when you're sleeping, right? So try to keep it safe in a box. So we're gonna have some example. Corn snake would be the entry level snake pet if you are into this category. So corn snake will be very special for its color because you will see something like there will be some dot on their body that look like a so yeah, that's what they call it corn snake, and they are colorful. You can choose like from a variety of color. So corn snake is pretty fun to have in your home. In case you like a snake type, but I don't know this here. I don't think it would be suitable for me. However, yes, getting back, if you like, let's say something more expensive or something more looking ridiculous, you would like to choose the hognose snake. Let me type the name. So if you're watching this, you can actually look it up on the internet. Here. Okay, hognose snake. With this specific type of snake, you can understand by the name. So there will be something wrong with the nose, right? Yes. It will, let's say, have some weird structure of the jaw. I mean, like if you understand how a person would look like when they don't have the front teeth, like let's say the upper front teeth, and their lips would be something curved above that. So that's what a hog nose look like. A hog nose snake look like. But yeah, when comparing to other species of snake, it would be say a little bit pricier, and it would be a little bit bigger also. And when mentioning the word big, if you are a person who into big dingy, then you know what I'm saying. If you're a person who like you are into big dingy, you would like I would suggest you to adopt a python. In this case, not every python is a pet, is domesticated. Well, a ball python here, ball python. Yeah, ball python, let's say, would be a very suitable choice for you if if you are into, let's say, a bigger scale snake, and if you're not really afraid of it curling, twisting around your arm, your body, and it is a good choice for being for beginners also because it is pretty easy to take care of, and it is also a favorite among experienced owners. Hmm. So yeah, I think that should be all for the snake. But if you like to learn more about the snake, or let's say exotic pets, okay, I'm going to mention it later. So yes, beside the snake, there would be some people that enjoy, let's say, an animal that have 4 feet, but it's not, let's say, it's not as common, it's not as traditional as a dog or a cat. It would be pretty boring, right? So if we want to stand out, if you want to make a difference when raising an animal on your own, if you want people to see it, if you want people to admire it, I would suggest you to adopt an iguana. Iguana. So this word iguana is understood as a large tropical American lizard. An iguana is a type of reptile or a type of insect. Yeah, reptile would be more suitable for the category it belongs to. Iguana, let's say, will also vary in color. And you can choose from different species of iguana. So yes, as let's say pretty similar to other type of animal, different species also affects the size or the color of that animal. So iguana can be as big as let's say 2 meter. No, not two. It will be like as much as 1.5 meter maximum. But it can be as small as 40 or 50 centimeters. So yes, you can make a choice on different type of iguana, or let's say chameleon, if you want colorful thing. But yes, iguana, let's say iguana are colorful already, but chameleon, chameleon would be a better choice, even better choice because it can change color amongst the thing it is landing on. You know that myth that when you was a kid, you see like on the TV, there would be some animal like iguana. No, sorry. There would be some animal like chameleon standing on a tree, and it would camouflage itself to look completely like the tree. So it changed the color of its body to fit in the scenario it's standing to avoid being seen by other animals. just defensive mechanism of that specific animals. So yes, iguana or chameleon would be a good choice if you are into reptile. And last option you have, not last, okay, another option you have would be tarantula. The tarantula would be for some, let's say, hardcore people. I mean, yes, you can understand, or you can imagine that tarantula is a bigger figure of a spider, and it will be a little bit hairier. Like it can be hairy, it can be bigger, and it could be like definitely scarier than a normal spider because when you see a spider like the size of your hand, you would freak the fuck out. But for a tarantula, I mean, you would have you would definitely needs to have the guts to adopt such animal. So tarantula is understood as a large poisonous spider covered with hair that lived in the Central and South America. And did I say something wrong? I hope nobody is watching it. Yeah. So tarantula is, let's say, not really dangerous because once they become a pet, so you should understand the definition of the word pet is, let's say, a domesticated or tamed animal. So when it is called a pet, it shouldn't do any harm to you unless you are unlucky. I mean, yeah, everything can happen. So a dog can bite, a dog can bite you also. Needless, yeah, not even to mention the tarantula or the snake, they can bite you if they want to. But yeah, be careful when raising an exotic pet because they are a different species. They are not really as tame or not really as domesticated as those traditional pets you have might have occurred with. Tarantula, I mean, yeah, for some hardcore people, but not for me, because I can imagine that, like, in the middle of night, you wake up and you see a giant, you see a giant spider on your face. What would you do? Like, would you smash it and would it bite you? Yeah, take into consideration my question, right? Okay, but it's up to you. Different people have different tastes in animal as well as what they are in, let's say, what they are into, what they would like to make friends with. So some people would prefer to be friends with a dog, but some people would prefer to be friends with a snake. So it's up to you. But for whatever animal or whatever pet you are trying to adopt or you're trying to have, be careful with it and try to train it so that it wouldn't do any harm to you. Cool. Oh yeah, in some specific cases, you may see some people would have a turtle. Yeah, a turtle as a snake or a tortoise as a snake. Yeah, it's a turtle and tortoise. Let me write it out for you. So this is another piece of information that you might haven't known or decided. I don't know if I write incorrectly. Okay, I write correctly. So when you translate these two words into Vietnamese, some of you might mistaken it because turtle and tortoise look pretty much the same. And specifically in Vietnamese, we have two words for it. For this animal, I mean, you would call a turtle con rô, right? And you would call a tortoise con baba. However, I don't know if that is a really correct translation or a really correct definition to each type of animals. However, I will give you a quick hint or quick clue to differentiate or discriminate between them two. So a turtle is an animal that can live both on the land and in the water. Okay. Meanwhile, a tortoise would be an animal that would only live on the land. So I don't know if the Maban actually live only on the land. I also see it in water. So I don't think that would be a really correct translation. However, you can understand it in English so that you can let's say differentiate between them two. Turtle and tortoise are two different creatures. Okay. Iguana, snake, tarantula, yes, already. So in some richer country, specifically in the let's say the Southeast Asia, oh sorry, Middle West Asia. Middle West Asia, let's say some filthy rich country or some well-off household, you would sometimes witness a household, a family that also adopt, let's say, a big animal. I mean, yeah, I would call it an animal because it is not categorized as a pet. So that animal would be something like a lion or a tiger. So you can, yeah, you can definitely guess which country it is, whether like um, Dubai or some country in Middle East Asia, some well-off country. So yes, they would try to domesticate a tiger or a lion, or sometimes even a monkey. I mean, a monkey would be listed as a sort of pet because I myself have seen some household already. Some household adopt a monkey as a pet, and I think it's pretty cruel because a monkey would be one of the animal that is closest to the human, right? Yeah, we tend to grow from that. So when you putting a monkey in a cage for like the whole day and you sometimes you forgot to feed it, it would it would create a scenario, something like you forget to feed a human, and the monkey sound is not really pleasant. So yeah, adopting monkey as a pet would be so good of an idea, right? Okay, so that should be enough for this part because we still have other part needs to be covered. So we're gonna put this in the chat box so that we can read it later. Turtle and tortoise. Yeah, turtle and tortoise, two different words. Okay. Next. So what makes, yeah, so this is when I mentioned, like what makes a pet different from animal. Okay. So let's say a pet would be completely different from the animal because let's say I'm going to give you some detailed explanation. So a pet would dependent on human to live. So a pet needs to be given food, water, or shelter. So shelter, you can understand the word shelter as a place, a means, accommodation, or a place for you to live. So a pet needs to be given food, water, and shelter by its owner. It cannot find the food on its own. And being thus domesticated means the animal depends on its owner for all of its care. Okay. And one more thing is that a pet would live in a home. So a pet live in a home, some such pet as parakeets or hamster live in a cage. A cage is a means of shelter. And a cage would make out of something like plastic or metals, maybe steels or aluminum. It depends on the manufacturer. But alternatively, dog and cats wander freely around home and may have their own bed to sleep in. So let's say raising pets is something needs to be taken as serious as a human, right? And yes, you also need to give a pet a home or a place to sleep in. A pet also needs a veterinarian care. Veterinarian would be a person. You can understand it in my definition, right? A veterinarian would be a doctor for animal. And sometimes you can see it in abbreviation form, would be vet or VET, this one. Yes, vet or veterinarian. So the type of healthcare the pet needs depend on what type of pet it is. So an iguana or beagle a completely type of vet care other than just take them directly to a vet that take care of dogs or cats because they are exotic pets. So that's why they need exotic care. Okay, and some pets needs to be trained. I mean, can be trained, no, not can be trained. Let's say the most obvious example in this case that would be a dog. A dog is one of the easiest animal that you can train it. So you can teach a dog how to sit, how to stay, or how to heel in a course of obedience training. And sometimes it can be a little bit pricey. So as far as I know, or as far as my research goes, a course for a German Shepherd, which is, let's say, a German Shepherd in Vietnamese. Let me share German Shepherd. Oh yeah, chó vẹt rê in Vietnamese, yes. A German Shepherd in Vietnamese would be chó vẹt rê. And a course for it would take around 7 million to 10 million for 1 month. And yeah, they only need 1 month. So it can be pretty pricey. I mean, like with that money, I can eat for maybe a whole month. But yes, training a dog can be really fun. And once it obey, or when it's got the obedience after the training course, it can be a very helpful friend. It can be, let's say, a very good friend for you because they will listen to you and they will do what you tell, do as you tell. So in this case, I said in this because we are mentioning about training, right? So some pet or some animal, specifically a dog, can be trained to be a therapy animal. So to make it easier to understand, a therapy animal would be an animal that can actually help you with your disability. So let's say if you are blind, and if you are blind, which means you cannot see anything, like that happened when you to some accident or if you are lucky. So if you are blind, a dog can be a very good friend or it can be a very good guide for you. So a therapy animal receives specific training in order to provide support and care to its owner. So for example, some therapy dogs are trained to recognize the signs of seizure in their owner. So seizure are, okay, there's a lot of definition to explain, but seizure is a symptom when you cannot control the muscle of your body, and it would act pretty weird because yeah, your body will shrink and your muscle will, let's say, will act without your control. And yes, a therapy dog can recognize it, and sometimes it can help you by calling other people to help. And yeah, trying to get them to the safe place if you are blind. Okay. And yes, that is why we mentioned the fifth difference here. So pet can provide companionship. It means a pet would be a companion to its owner. It can be a friend, it can be a best friend. So maybe for some people who grow a turtle. Yeah, for some people who adopt a turtle or have a turtle as a pet, let's say that would be their lifetime's friend because a turtle never died before, let's say, I would say they never die, but they have very long lifespan. Let's say as long as the human. Some turtle can live up to 90, 80 or 90 years. So yes, if you have a turtle as a kid, it can grow along with you and it can get old with you. So that's the best thing ever. I mean, you have a companionship, a companion that go with you along your life and for the rest of your life. So there is a case. There is a case, let's say a real case. A man in some foreign country, he adopts his parent got him a turtle as a pet when he was a kid, and now he is 88 years old, and that turtle is also 88 years old with him. So they have been friends for 88 years, which is really, really rare. Yeah, really, I mean, like it's not really possible for a relationship between human and human, right? Because yeah, you cannot be friends when you are just born. You cannot be friends when you are just 1 or 2 years old, and you can maintain that relationship for another 90 years. But with an animal, you can definitely do that specifically. Okay. And yes, as you can see from the definition, a pet would be completely different from a farm animal. For a farm animal, so let's say a cow or a chicken living on a farm serve a specific purpose. A cow provides milk while a chicken lay eggs to be eaten or to be sold. This makes farm animals a little bit different from traditional pets because yeah, a farm animal is actually grown with a specific purpose. Let's say to sell the products or to be used as labor force, right? But yeah, for pets, it doesn't have those functionality. Okay, and as I said, a pet can be common or uncommon, depends on the type of pet you adopt. Yeah, you can choose to adopt a traditional pet or exotic pets, so that's why it makes it different from other animal. And needless to say, a pet cannot survive in the wild because one of the main characteristics separating pets from other animals is that the pet cannot survive in the wild and it has been domesticated and raised under a person's care. So releasing a pet in wildlife doesn't mean it will know how to find food or shelter. In fact, it would likely to die. Hmm. But let's say if you if you release a bird, like there will be some exceptional cases, right? If you release a bird or a normal dog, I'm not saying about pet dog, a normal dog, which is in Vietnamese, we usually call it chó. That will be different from some other superior species of pets like Alaska Husky, Pomeranian. So yeah, that would make the dog differently. So when you're releasing those dog or male call into the wild, it would have, let me say, a slightly higher chance to live. But however, it can be, let's say, can be taken by other people with some other specific purpose that would not be really friendly, would be really animal friendly. Yeah, I'm sorry for the word stuff. So which pet would you prefer? Yeah, I don't know if you can answer, if any of you will answer this question. However, as for me, if I can choose between pets, I mean, like if I had endless choice, I would like to choose a dog. Say specifically, what is that called? Rottweiler. Yeah, I would like to choose a Rottweiler because it is a very clever or very intelligent species of dog. It is big, it is clever, it is protective, and it can also be trained. So that is why I would choose a Rottweiler to be my pet. However, raising or adopting a pet or Rottweiler can be really a problem because, yeah, you can understand that a dog or a normal dog can eat anything, but to other species of dog like German Shepherd, or Rottweiler, or Pit Bull, they would need a higher nutrition diet. So that's why you have to pour your money into raise them. So yes, maybe when later in life, if I'm more financially dependent, I would buy a Rottweiler as a yeah, you cannot sell that. So we come to the next part will be the requirements to adopt or to have an animal as a pet or as a friend. So yeah, the first thing you see on the screen here will be accommodation. Accommodation, let's say one of the requirements or the utmost requirement when having a pet in Vietnam. Why I mentioned in Vietnam, because if you are adopting or if you're having a pet in other country, it would be a completely different story. There would be a lot more policy, it would be a lot more procedure you have to follow. However, in Vietnam, the only thing you should care or the only requirement you have when adopting a pet will be accommodation. So you should ask your landlord, you should ask your family, or let's say the neighborhood, whether it is good to have a dog or have a pet. Because if you are staying in an apartment, there would be higher chance or higher possibility that you are not allowed to have a dog or have a cat, not to mention other exotic animals. It can be a threat to other people. It can be a threat to other household sharing the same apartment as yours. Okay, so before before having or adopting a pet, please check it carefully whether your accommodation will meet the requirement to have a pet. Okay. Beside that, so out of Vietnam, I'm gonna mention some other requirements or some other things you need to do before upon adopting a pet. So yeah, that would be quite a lot, right? So here, age requirement firstly. Most shelter and rescues will require you to be at least 18 years old to adopt a pet. Yeah. There would be some reason behind that, but I'm not really sure, so that I cannot explain to you. But 18 years old would be a standard age for you to have some specific rights to do the things you want. So in some country, you need to be at least 18 years old to have a pet on your own. Mhm. Another requirement would be family meet and greets. So it is a good idea to make sure everyone in the family get along with the new pet, which is most shelter and rescue require family meet and greet before adoption. So let's say it would be a procedure like SEPA. Every yeah, it will include everybody in the home going to a shelter or rescue to have a look at the pet. So whether all the family agree on the decision to have that specific animal as a pet in their home. Okay. Valid identification. Valid identification means in order to verify your age and where you live, you need to provide identification to shelter or rescue staff. Pretty much the same to the age requirement. So there are a lot of procedure you have to follow. And yeah, good. An application. So you cannot go into a shelter and say, I want a dog, I want a cat, give me that, give me this, give me that. However, the first pet adoption requirement is to submit an application. So most shelter and rescue take application on a first come basis. So if you see a dog or cat you're interested in. Make sure you're ready to fill out and submit the application quickly. It shouldn't take so much of the time. So the application includes straightforward questionnaires or a more in-depth survey. You may also need to provide references, verify that your landlord allowed X, submit income verification. I think this is necessary, however, in some form you may also need to fill that in, or complete a home visit before your application is accepted. And lastly, not everything is free. So depending on where you decide to adopt the pet from, the adoption fee will vary in cost. The adoption fee typically covers a basic but veterinary care like initial shots, like vaccination, microchipping for tracking, and spray or neuter, as well as housing, food, transportation for the pet to receive while they were in the care of the shelter or rescue. So a lot of things to take into consideration when you having a pet in other country, but in Vietnam, you just need to make sure your accommodation is capable of having a pet. What is this question? 45 minutes. Okay. Cool. Okay, but yeah, meeting a pet in the first time can be tricky because they haven't known you yet, and they haven't got accustomed to your, let's say, your appearance or your body yet. So to be specific, other animal would be pretty easy, but for a dog, it can be pretty aggressive if it meets strangers, right? So in this part, we're gonna give you 6 tips for you what you should do when you meet a dog for the first time. So firstly, you need to be calm but confident. Okay. So become confident means the energy you put off is very crucial. Is crucial, and the dog expert dog are expert at reading body language and picking up energy and nonverbal cues. So for this reason, you want to exude energy that is calm and confident. And this balance will let the dog know that you're not a threat and will encourage them to let them guard down in order to get to know you better. Okay, first and foremost, don't show any fear or don't be too aggressive toward them. When you first meet them, just be calm and confident, all right? And get down on the dog level. So once you get your body calm and you have channeled your inner confidence, get down on the dog level. Standing over an unknown dog can send a message of dominance and intimidate the dog. Remember that you don't know that the dog history and what they've been subjected to. So when you see a dog squat down on you, a good 6 feet or so in front of the dog, let them see that you're getting on their level and allow them to approach you. So by lowering yourself physically, they will be more inclined to let them guard down and come over you. Okay, and the next step is to let the dog approach you. So if you squat down and the dog doesn't approach you, especially if you see your body language, is that the dog makes the dog feel scared, nervous, or aggressive. The interaction and back away. So turn your attention away from the dog. So if it was a stranger dog, you will both move on. And if it's a situation where you know the owner well or meeting them in adoption setting, discuss how to proceed with the dog handler. Yeah, a lot of things to do when you first meet a dog, right? And next, you would allow the dog to sniff you. So once the dog comes over and they will begin to sniff you, scent is an extremely important sense for dogs. And it is no wonder that smelling and sniffing is the first stage of meeting a dog, because giving a dog as much time as they need to sniff you down uninterrupted is crucial. So don't try to do any action when they're sniffing your hand or your legs. Just stand still and let it sniff you so that it will know your body sense. Sorry. This will be some, not really a good word. Yes. During this time, the dog is learning anything about like whether you have a dog, where you've been, what you've eaten, or even where you live. Let's say a dog is even cleverer than you, right? Okay, and hold your hands out. Yes, hold your hands out. So if the initial approach smelling is going well, you don't see any negative, aggressive, or fearful body language from the dog. It is safe to present your hand. So hold your hands out with the top of your hand facing up and your fingers slightly curved under for sniffing. So this is also an important movement you will make toward the dog and will allow you to further assess their reaction and their comfort level towards you. Okay, and keep a steady, calm, and friendly tone. So up until now, experts recommend staying pretty quiet during the initial meeting, though it might be okay to encourage dog over when it's quiet down. So much of this is about reading dog cues. So when you do speak to the dog, you want to be friendly but calm and speak in a normal or even low voice. So excited, squeaky voice that many use with a dog is not the best voice for the pursuing. It can be interpreted as unpredictable and put the dog on the edge. It can be aggressive towards you if you do that. And if you want to touch it, pet them under their chin first. So if you make it this far and receiving positive body language, like literally something like the green light to you, but you should pet the dog first under the chin and make sure they see your hand approaching them. So this way you won't startle them. Okay, a lot of steps need to be taken into consideration. Cool. Let me check the live stream whether it's going well. So far, no questions. It's crystal. Okay, and after you got the pet, what you need to have, well, that would be the necessities. So necessities are the thing you need when you are having a pet. What I mentioned here would be the cage. Yeah, the first number one, the shelter. As I explained, the shelter are placed for the pets to live in. So the shelter can be varied in shape or in style, different from for each type of animal you're having. So if you are having a dog, it would be a shelter or a cage. But I don't think a pet should be put into a cage, right? But yeah, for a dog, it would be a cage. But if for a fish or let's say a turtle or even a tarantula or a snake, you would like to put, oh yeah, for iguana also, you would like to put it in an aquarium. Aquarium. So aquarium, let's say, is a type of box that is made out of glass, and you can actually see what happened inside. So this aquarium would be most suitable for fish, tortoise, or snake, iguana, or tarantula. Let's say some species, some exotic animals. And yes, it also needs a place to eat. So pretty similar to human. Human needs a bowl to eat, right? So an animal would need a food tray to eat. A food tray like it can be varied in size. So for a hamster, it would need a smaller food tray, but for a dog, it would definitely need a bigger food tray. So depending on the portion or depends on the amount of food that animal needs, the size or the shape of the food tray can be varied. Next one will be the sandbox. Sandbox, as you can hear from the name, you would expect there would be some sand in a box. And yes, it would definitely what it looks like. So but that is not a normal sand. There would be some pink sand. So that sand, the usage of that sand will, let's say, solidify the the thing that an animal give out after what they eat. So they would solidify that thing, and it would make your cleaning much easier rather than just wiping around the house. Like me, I have a dog, and it is super stupid. It just pooping and peeing all around. But like regardless of whatever I try to use, like even the sandbox or the guiding spray number 5, it doesn't make sense to it. I mean, like it's just stubborn. But yes, a sandbox will definitely make the cleaning, the product cleaning much easier for you, and it would create less order. Would be the last meal. A shampoo, like human, the dog, or sorry, a pet would need to be showered. You need to take a bath sometime to be fresh and clean. So shampoo is a must. And guiding spray, yes. So if you raising a pet in a limited area, so let's say in an apartment or in an indoor environment, you would definitely need a guiding spray at the initial stage of adopting a pet, because you don't want your pet to go around the house, pee and poop wherever it like, and you are the one who have to clean it. So yes, a guiding spray functionality is to guide the pet where to dump their okay. Okay, collar or harness. So this is specifically for dog. Collar is what tie into the dog neck in order to that you can walk them around without them running out of your control. And harness is, let's say, a part, a leather accessory that used to cuff the dog's mouth so that it wouldn't bite or wouldn't do anything that out of your control when in public. So some people would suggest that like always wear a harness for a dog when you go out in public. So in order to reduce the possibility of threats to the lowest as possible, as low as possible, sorry. And their toys, if any, or if you really love the dog, you really love your pets, you would love to buy some toys. So raising a pet is like raising a kid. I mean, you have to give it whatever it needs, right? Okay. If you know any more about the necessity when raising a pet, let me know in the comment section down below. But yeah, I don't think I want to discuss about this because we're running out of time. So yeah, there are a lot of food for pets. In this category, we're gonna put it in 5 different types. That would be dry food. Dry food are some type of package that are made into dry food, and you can actually carry them around if you travel, and that would make the taking care procedure less tiring or less exhausting. So you just pour the dry food into the food tray and can eat for maybe a day. But yeah, as I said in the beginning of this live stream, also in the middle of this live stream, if I had the money, I would adopt a Rottweiler. Why I mentioned if I had money, because a Rottweiler or some bigger type of pet or some exotic type of pet would require you to feed them with raw food. So in this case, raw food can be including or frogs. Yeah, some animal eats frogs like snake or baby rat or mice. Yeah, some mice. For snake, they really like mice and iguana also. Yes, so raw food, including the food that is in processed, and yeah, it will be something like what you eat, the chicken meat. It requires much more effort and much more money put into it. And canned food, so canned food are the type of food that put in a can. So let's say it's something like the dog, human, and yes, pets also have. Yeah, so canned food would be let's say, a borderline between dry food and raw food. So dry food you can store it for, you can preserve it for a longer period of time, while raw food you can reserve it only for a few weeks. Meanwhile, canned food, let's say, is something in between. You can reserve it for longer period of time than raw food, but it is also provide with more nutrition than dry food. So yeah, canned food would be optimal for those who have, say, pretty okay financial thinking. And yet chew food are, let's say, to break it down, I think chew food are the food that is super hard, and your pet actually chew on it rather than eating it. Chewing the chew food, let's say, mostly for dog, because dog like to chew the bones, you know, and the food, the chew food actually uh, dissolved with the dog saliva. So yes, it would take longer period of time in order to finish a portion of chew food than other type of food. And lastly would be pate. Pate, yeah, you can understand it in Vietnamese would be something like pate. And pate would be another type of canned food, but it is very rich in nutrition and it's easier to digest for some, let's say, some harder to take care of animal, like smaller dog, they cannot eat and digest raw food or canned food, so pate would be an optimal choice. And you, and yeah, dogs and babies. So dogs and baby have a very close relation to each other. And yes, a pet can be beneficial for your baby. So a new study out of the University of Alberta showed that a baby born into families with furry pets have reduced risk of developing allergies and obesity if they are exposed to the animal in the first few months of life. So some people think that pets are not really good for babies. However, the pets or the furry pets, to be more specific, the furry pets will help the children to develop their immune system, so that when they grow older, the immune system is good and is better than those other people, and they would less likely to get infected by cold or anything or allergies or something like that. Okay. But what you should consider when having baby and pets at the same time will be these 5 things. So safety barrier. The top priority when having both of these two creatures in your home would be safety. And pets and children can grow up to have amazing relationships, but this idea should not be assumed or taken for granted. So given that you should never leave dogs and young children alone together, it is wise to get your pets well accustomed to new level of separation. Okay, nextly would be walking. So if your dog tends to pull on a lead, it is worth training them in advance to walk politely in loose lead along the side of a buggy. Like, so let's say if you allow your children to walk their dog, you wouldn't want your dog to run really fast and let's say makes your child face land on the hard ground, right? So this way, after the baby is born, they already know that what is expected from them and they're happy to trot along the side. And the risking of them pulling you and the buggy over is greatly reduced if you teach the dog how to do the walkies. And yeah, it would definitely become a more pleasant experience. Okay, privacy, like human dogs and cats need their own space. So somewhere they can retreat for some peace and quiet. Cats often like to be up high, so create ways for them to reach the top of wardrobe or bookshelves and provide some comfy bedding there too. Okay, desensitize. So baby can make a lot of noise, like when the baby cries, it can be really proud, really loud. So what you should do here is recorded clips of baby are easily found on the internet. And unlike with a real baby, you can just adjust the volume. So you can play the video or the audio for the dog for it to get accustomed to the sound that the baby would make during his first stages of life. And lastly would be routine. Trying to keep your pet's routine as predictable as possible in the early day can help reduce the stress level. And during the very early day, walking the dog might seem a little bit of epic task. So it might be worth enlisting friends and family or a local dog walker to help. Okay. Running out of time. Okay, so and last part would be taking care of a dog. So a dog would require, let's say, certain amount of attention or care as human. So a dog would definitely need food, definitely needs water, exercise, shelter, health care, and vaccination. And yeah, though maybe that is all I mentioned in the previous part of this live stream, so I don't think I should mention it anymore here. But yeah, vet or veterinarian would be a person who has been trained in the science of animal medicines, whose job is to treat animals who are sick or injured. So as I said, you can understand that vet is a doctor for animals, easily. Okay. And last part of this live stream, because it's exceed 1 hour already. Yes. So the last part, I'm gonna mention some pet cafe you can check out. So if you are not able to adopt a pet or not able to have a pet on your own or in your house, this is where you can go to enjoy the pet tahalik thingy of your own. So going to Cafe Coffee on 119 different kind Bến Thành Ward District 1, you will have, let's say, a lot of chances to expose to different type of cats. So this is for the cat lover. On the other side, if you like dogs and yeah, if you are a dog person, I would suggest you to visit the Hachiko Coffee on the 14th of Hoa Sữa Street in Ward 7, Phú Nhuận District. And notice that the opening time will be from 12 p.m. Yeah, 12 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Okay, great. And yeah, another dog coffee you can check out will be Cat's House Coffee in 231 Tapan High, Ward 5, Dongren District. And lastly, if you are into exotic animals, I mean like dogs and cat doesn't satisfy you, you would look for something more extreme, something more hardcore, you can visit Babel Coffee in 93 slash 18 Phạm Văn Hai, Ward 3, Tân Bình District also. So this cafe specifically gives you the chance to see and touch those exotic pets like iguana, snakes, or even tarantula. Okay, if you are hardcore, if you are an extreme person, visit this one. Thank you. But yeah, I think you can check that out and let us know what you feel in the comment section down below if you ever getting back to this live stream like in the future, but I bet you won't. However, thank you very much for watching the live stream today, but it's lengthy already. So let's close it with thank you slide. So really appreciate you all watching today, but let's close this topic right now, and we'll get back to you on Monday with another different topic. All right, stay tuned, and I'll see you on Monday.